At 6:46 a.m. on the 25th of October 1944, Commander Ernest Evans stood on the bridge of the USS Johnston, a Fletcher-class destroyer, off Samar Island. His radar tracked 23 Japanese warships, led by the massive battleship IJN, Yamato 72,880 tons, closing at 20 knots. Evans, a 36-year-old Cherokee commander, faced impossible odds. 4 battleships, 6 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, and 11 destroyers against his tiny task unit 77.4.3, known as Taffy 3. Taffy 3 consisted of 6 lightly armored escort carriers, 3 destroyers, and 4 destroyer escorts. Their mission was air support, not surface combat. They were caught when Vice Admiral Kurita's center force, which American intelligence mistakenly believed had retreated, steamed through the unguarded San Bernardino Strait. The Japanese shells, 14-inch and 18-inch, began raining down. The largest gun on the American side was the Johnston's 5-inch gun, effective only for harassment against battleships. If Kurita broke through, he would destroy the defenseless transports in Leyte Gulf, ending the invasion. At 6:54 a.m., Evans made his decision without orders. The Johnston broke formation and charged directly toward the Yamato, at flank speed, 35 knots. Evans opened fire on the heavy cruiser column, aiming not to sink them, but to distract and buy time. At 7:20 a.m., Evans closed to 10,000 yards of the heavy cruiser IJN Kumano and launched all 10 Mark 15 torpedoes. At least one struck the Kumano, tearing away its bow and forcing it and its escort, IJN Suzuya, out of the fight. The battleships found their range. At 7:30 a.m., 3 14-inch shells from IJN Congo slammed into the Johnston. The hits destroyed the engine room and steering power, severely wounding Evans and most of the bridge crew. Evans, with 2 fingers torn from his left hand, climbed down to the fantail steering station and continued to command the ship manually, with 2 forward guns still firing. Inspired by the Johnston's suicidal charge, the destroyer USS Hull, the destroyer USS Heermann, and the tiny destroyer escort USS Samuel B. Roberts followed suit. The Samuel B. Roberts, a ship of only 1,745 tons, charged the heavy cruiser IJN Chokai. Lieutenant Commander Robert Copeland pushed the ship past its design limit to 28.7 knots, closed to 4,000 yards, and fired its 3 torpedoes. At least one hit the Chokai, crippling it and forcing it out of the battle. The crew of the Roberts's forward 5-inch gun, led by gunner's mate 3rd Class Paul Henry Carr, fired 324 rounds in 35 minutes until the breech blew up, killing Carr as he tried to load one last shell. At 8:30 a.m., Evans, though crippled, spotted 7 Japanese destroyers attempting a torpedo run on the carriers. He turned the Johnston and engaged the entire squadron alone, forcing them to abort their run and engage him instead. This action saved the carriers but sealed the Johnston's fate. The sacrifice was total. Hull was sunk at 8:55 a.m., Gambier Bay, CVE, capsized at 9:07 a.m., Samuel B. Roberts went down at 9:35 a.m. At 9:30 a.m., the Johnston took concentrated fire. Her last engine failed, and her guns fell silent. At 9:45 a.m., Evans gave the order to abandon ship. He was last seen helping men into life rafts before vanishing. At 10:10 a.m., the Johnston rolled over and sank. As she went down, the Japanese destroyer IJN Yukikaze sailed past, its crew lining the rails to render a formal salute to their fallen enemy, an unprecedented act of battlefield respect. Vice Admiral Kurita, convinced he was fighting a major fleet due to the intensity of the attacks and continuous airstrikes, lost tactical control. At 12:30 p.m., he made the inexplicable decision to withdraw his entire force. The last stand of Taffy 3 had worked. Kurita retreated, the Leyte invasion was saved, and the Japanese Navy was functionally defeated. Commander Evans, never recovered, was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously. He remains one of only 2 destroyer captains in World War II to receive the decoration. The location of the Johnston remained a mystery for 75 years, resting in the ultra-deep Philippine Trench. In October 2019, the research vessel Petrel located a Fletcher-class wreck at over 20,000 feet, 6,000 meters, but could not confirm its identity due to depth limitations. In March 2021, explorer Victor Vescovo, piloting the deep submersible limiting factor, descended to the site. After a 4-hour dive to 21,180 feet, 6,460 meters, Vescovo identified the wreck. He saw the hull number 557 USS Johnston. The preservation was remarkable. The guns were still aimed to starboard, and the hull showed catastrophic damage from the Yamato's 18.1-inch shell. The Johnston became the deepest shipwreck ever discovered at the time, a protected war grave. In June 2022, Vescovo returned. Using Japanese reports and survivor accounts, he searched for the Johnston's companion. At 22,621 feet, 6,895 meters, he found the wreck of the USS Samuel B. Roberts, 426 meters deeper than the Johnston. Visible on the aft mount was the blown-apart breech of the gun that had fired 324 rounds. The Samuel B. Roberts, the destroyer escort that fought like a battleship, now holds the Guinness World Record for the deepest known shipwreck. Both vessels, resting 4 miles down in the darkness off Samar, are steel monuments to a day when impossible courage secured an unpredictable American victory.